It was 2:27 a.m. when I pulled into the Domino's parking lot on Halsted. I remember the exact time because the dashboard clock blinked like it always did when my car battery threatened to die. Just one of those little worries piling up after a double shift at St. Luke's. My stomach was in knots, not from stress but from hunger. I hadn't eaten since lunch, some vending machine crackers and half a soda I found in the break room fridge. Domino's wasn't exactly a gourmet option, but I wasn't in the mood to be picky. Everything else nearby was closed or sketchier than I wanted to deal with at that hour. But this place? It had the glowing blue sign flickering above the entrance, like it was fighting to stay alive. It felt weird seeing it still open so late, but whatever. I just figured someone else must have been desperate for greasy carbs like I was. I parked close to the door, under one of the sad little security lights. No other cars, no music from inside, no noise at all actually. It was dead quiet except for the dull hum of the neon sign and the occasional rustle of wind through the alley beside the building. The windows were fogged slightly from the inside. Maybe they were cleaning up. Maybe they were closing late. None of it really registered as strange yet. I just wanted food. I pulled the door open, expecting the cheesy scent to hit me like a wall, the way it usually does. But the air inside was cold, not freezing, just wrong. Like something that used to be warm had been turned off hours ago. I stepped in and said, "Hey, anybody here?" No answer. No one behind the counter. No sound from the ovens. Just a half-boxed pizza sitting there like someone left in the middle of making it. That's when the first real chill hit the back of my neck. I should have left right then. But I didn't. The place had that abandoned in a hurry feel. You know what I mean? Like someone left a movie on pause. One of the prep tables still had flour on it. A single pizza cutter was on the edge, half dangling. The display screens were off, but the heat lamps were still on, casting this orange dying light kind of glow on the counter. And that pizza, it looked fresh, still warm. Pepperoni and mushrooms, exactly what I usually order. That gave me pause. I called out again. "Hey, if you're still open, I'll pay cash." Still nothing. I reached for my phone, figured I'd call the store just to see if anyone would pick up. The number rang twice, and then went straight to voicemail. That's when the lights flickered once, then cut out completely. Just like that. No buzz, no dimming. 1 second they were on, next second I was standing in total darkness. I froze. Couldn't even hear my own breathing over how loud my heart was thudding. Then I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, coming from behind the kitchen line. I couldn't see who it was at first. I turned on my phone flashlight and held it up, and that's when he stepped into the beam. A man, maybe late 40s, no uniform, just a white t-shirt stained with what looked like tomato sauce or something red anyway, and a pair of rubber gloves that glistened under the light. He didn't say anything right away, just stood there, staring at me. Blank expression, not angry, not confused, just present. Then, in a voice so hoarse it sounded like it hadn't been used in days, he asked, "You here for the delivery?" I didn't respond. I was too busy calculating how fast I could bolt through the door. The air in the room changed after he spoke, got heavier, like breathing through wet cloth. I didn't ask questions. I didn't wait for him to take another step. I turned and ran. I hit the door with my shoulder so hard I thought I dislocated something, but it flew open with a loud metallic clang, and I stumbled onto the pavement. My phone flew from my hand and skittered under a bench, but I wasn't about to waste time grabbing it. I jumped into my car, heart jamming in my throat, and fumbled with the keys. My fingers wouldn't work. I could see him through the glass door now, just standing there watching. No expression, like he was disappointed I didn't take the pizza. Finally, the ignition caught. I floored it out of the lot so fast my tires screeched like something out of a movie. As I turned onto the street, I glanced into the rearview mirror. He was outside now, not chasing me, just standing in the lot under the flickering Domino's sign, watching me drive away. His white shirt almost glowing in the half-darkness. And then the sign, the only light on the block, cut off. Gone. Like the whole place had never existed. I drove around for an hour, just aimless, trying to rationalize what happened. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was some messed up prank. Maybe I was just too tired to be thinking clearly. But none of that explained the man, or the pizza that looked just like mine, or the fact that I still hadn't eaten and no longer felt hungry, just sick. I went home eventually, slept with the hallway light on for the first time since I was 12. The next morning, I called Domino's. I needed answers, something to make sense of it all. I figured I'd talk to the manager, say I stopped by around 30 and ask if something weird had happened. Maybe there was a new night shift guy who didn't know the routine. But the guy who answered, some middle-aged manager named Barry, sounded confused from the jump. "We close at midnight," he said. "Always have, nobody works past 12:30. Are you sure you were at our location?" "Positive," I said. "Blue sign right on Halsted." I walked in. There was a pizza half-boxed on the counter. Then the lights went out and I stopped myself. Saying it out loud made it sound stupid, like a ghost story or something you'd read on a Reddit thread. But Barry didn't laugh. "Weird," he said slowly. "There shouldn't have been anyone there. Place was locked up. I closed it myself." "What about the cameras?" I asked. "You've got security footage, right?" He hesitated. "There was a power surge that night," he said. "Fried a few systems. Lost the footage between midnight and 3 a.m. It's looking into it, but yeah, nothing from that window." I didn't know what to say to that. What were the odds? A freak power outage that just happened to wipe out the exact time frame I needed to check. He asked if I wanted a coupon for the inconvenience. I hung up. Later that night, I checked Google. That Domino's had been involved in a robbery 6 years back. A guy posing as a night janitor went off the rails and attacked 2 drivers. The case was sealed, but Reddit threads hinted the guy had disappeared before he could be arrested. Nobody knew what happened to him. Some people thought he still showed up in closed stores late at night. I haven't ordered delivery since. Not pizza, not Chinese, not anything. If I'm hungry after midnight, I make toast or go without. Something about that night snapped something in me, like a wire that never quite got reconnected. A few weeks later, I drove by that same Domino's again. Just curiosity. The sign was still off. The windows were boarded. A for lease sign had been slapped across the glass, faded from rain. I parked across the street and stared at it for a long time. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I'd see him again. The man in the stained t-shirt. Maybe he'd be inside waiting. Maybe he never left. 6 months later, the location shut down officially. People said it was due to low foot traffic, but I heard from a nurse who lived nearby that cops showed up one night after reports of movement inside. They found nothing. No signs of a break-in. But one officer swore he saw someone through the kitchen window. They called it a false alarm. Probably was. Still, when I drive home late and pass other Domino's stores, I look in, just for a second. If you ever see one open past closing time, with a half-made pizza waiting on the counter, just keep driving. Don't go inside. Because sometimes, the scariest thing at Domino's isn't the calories or the grease. It's realizing you were never meant to be there, and someone else was, waiting, hungry, just like you, but not for pizza. Working closing shifts at Domino's in Detroit wasn't exactly my dream job, but it paid the bills. I was a 22-year-old community college student studying criminal justice by day and a shift manager by night. You'd be surprised how often those roles overlapped. It was late July, just shy of 11 p.m., and the kind of heat that makes the dough rise by itself had the city soaked in sweat and tension. Our downtown location sat on the edge of Woodward Ave, just close enough to the clubs to get drunk walk-ins and just far enough to attract the folks who wanted to scream about their coupon not scanning. That night started like any other. A couple delivery orders, a few DoorDash pickups, and then a lull. I was closing solo. Our other shift runner had called off. I was just wiping down the prep station when the glass door burst open. The man who stumbled in looked like a relic from a different decade, mid-50s, balding under a sweat-stained tiger's cap, with a greasy denim vest and jeans that hadn't seen a washing machine this side of the pandemic. He reeked of cheap beer and motor oil, and his boots left black smudges across the tile. He stomped up to the counter, slammed his hands down, and barked, "Gimme 2 medium, 2 toppings, $5.99 carryout deal." I didn't flinch. I've had worse. "Sorry, sir," I said, keeping my voice level. "That promotion ended in 2018. He stared at me like I'd spit in his mother's spaghetti. "The hell you mean? I saw it online just last week." I motioned to the backlit menu board, updated in big bold letters. "New value deals, starting at $7.99. "It's been gone for a while, man." He didn't like that. In the time it took me to blink, he booted the tip jar off the counter. It shattered against the tile, quarters and crumpled ones flying everywhere like metal confetti. "You people are all the same. Bait and switch. Thieves." I stayed behind the counter. I've learned never to escalate, no matter how pissed off someone gets. They expect you to bark back. Staying calm throws them off more than yelling ever could. "The website must have cached an old page," I explained. "Domino's has been using different deals since 2020. You're probably seeing some random blog or coupon aggregator." That's when he ripped down the "Now Hiring" sign taped to our sneeze guard and crumpled it in his fist. I half expected him to eat it. "I drove all the way down here in a truck running on fumes, and now you're telling me you won't honor what's owed? You think I'm stupid?" "No, sir, but I am calling the police if you don't leave." He froze. The rage dropped off his face for a beat. Then, almost casually, he walked backwards to the door, eyes never leaving mine. "You close up alone, don't you?" he said with a smile that chilled my spine more than any threat could. "You college boys think you're safe behind the counter." Then he was gone. His truck, a rusted '87 Dodge Ram, backfired as he tore out of the lot. It sounded like gunfire echoing off the empty brick buildings. I stood there in silence. Just me, the blinking order screen, and a floor covered in spare change. The rest of the shift was quiet. Eerily so. I tried to shake it off, told myself guys like that bark more than they bite. I swept the floor, locked the doors, and started counting the drawer. $242 in cash, 1 receipt smeared with marinara. Routine. At 12:58 a.m. it started. I heard metal scraping against the back door, the one only drivers and staff use. We keep it bolted. No one ever tries to come through there. Then the oven timer went off. I hadn't used it in over an hour. The screen read, "Bake cycle complete." I checked the camera feed. Nothing, just the alley. And then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Seconds later, it rang again. Same number. I answered. Static. Not just regular static, it sounded layered, voices beneath it or breathing. Then silence. When I checked the call log, it had traced back to Vince Kowalski. Yeah, I later learned his name from the cops, but in that moment all I knew was the man had my number and likely my schedule. I stayed till close, armed with nothing but a pizza peel and pepper spray I kept taped under the register, left through the front, double-locked every door, and checked over my shoulder 3 times walking to my car. The next morning I filed an incident report. Our GM, Derek, took it seriously. Called the cops. They pulled footage, took statements. Told me to keep my phone on me and not to close alone for a while. Later that week, Detroit PD showed up during the lunch rush. They found Vince's truck behind our store's dumpster. It had been there 2 nights, running on idle. The engine was still warm. Inside, they recovered a box cutter, zip ties, and a duffel bag containing 4 empty beer cans and what looked like a handwritten manifesto on Domino's pricing practices. Apparently, Vince had called the Domino's complaint line 37 times in a single night. Left long, slurred voicemails demanding the restoration of 2018 promotions. When the cops pulled him in, he claimed he just wanted what he was owed. I wasn't surprised. Guy looked like every unhinged regular I've dealt with over the years. Except this time he brought zip ties. I transferred not long after. Derek helped me land a spot at the Domino's in Royal Oak, a bigger store, brighter, and right, next to a police substation. I finished my shift before midnight now, but that night stuck with me. It wasn't just the threat, it was the way it felt routine. Like the heat, the noise, and the anger had all been simmering in that man long before he kicked in our door. Like it was only a matter of time. They banned him from every Domino's in Wayne County, but word is he's been spotted yelling at a Little Caesars kiosk off 8 Mile. Something about breadsticks not being real garlic. And me? I still check the back door twice. Not because I'm scared, because I know some people don't want pizza. They want the past. And they'll kill for a deal that expired 6 years ago. I was just beginning to forget the smell of old pizza when Jack disappeared. It's funny how quickly you can push something out of your head when you have to, but I couldn't escape it. Jack's last shift that Friday night would haunt me for months. Jack was 17, young, scrappy, and had that type of reckless enthusiasm that only a teenager could carry. He wasn't supposed to work the late shift at Domino's, but he picked it up because he needed the extra cash for something. Always for something. He'd just started driving deliveries in that beat-up scooter, the one with the cracked side, mirror, and the peeling blue paint. It was a mess, but it was his. And on that night, everything was normal. He clocked in around 4 p.m. and had a few routine orders. He was supposed to be home by midnight. He always texted me when he left work. It was our little ritual, just to let me know he made it out of the parking lot, safe. That night, though, he never did. I didn't think much of it at first. He'd gotten caught in traffic before, or maybe stayed late to chat with the other drivers. But as the night wore on, I got that feeling in my gut, the one you can't ignore. At around 3 a.m., I called the store. The phone was off the hook, just giving off that low, garbled static. It didn't sit right with me. I couldn't sleep. I kept pacing the living room, imagining what could have happened. At 3:30 a.m., I decided to go out and look for him. But then I remembered his voicemail. "Yo, save me some garlic knots." The last words I'd ever hear from him. It played over and over in my mind like some kind of sick loop. Something wasn't right. The Newark police arrived the next morning. The officers went through all the motions, asking questions, looking at his phone, tracking his deliveries. But all they found was his scooter idling behind the Domino's, keys still in the ignition. No signs of a struggle, no broken glass. No reason for him to just disappear. The real problem started with the security footage. The night of Jack's disappearance, the video feed from the cameras was corrupted, completely wiped out. The police tried to ask the store manager, but the guy was sketchy. He kept talking about system errors, saying he couldn't pull up the order log or retrieve any helpful information. I could tell he was hiding something. I started calling around. My phone bill became one long series of calls to anyone who might know something, but nobody had a clear answer. The store had gotten its delivery orders mixed up all the time. It was a small, run-down location in the middle of Newark, but they were consistent. That's all I could say. They got the orders to the customers on time, and the pizza was hot, mostly. I dug deeper. I even went to the store and tried to see the delivery log for myself. But when I asked, the manager, whose name I could barely remember, said, "Sorry, those records are locked up in the system." It felt like a dead end. I could sense it in my bones. Someone wasn't telling me the truth. That's when I started, listening to the voicemail more obsessively. Over and over, Jack's voice echoed in my mind. "Save me some garlic knots." What did that mean? Why did it sound so eerie? Maybe I was just losing it, or maybe something was off about his last delivery. The dream started 3 nights after Jack vanished. I could hear his voice calling me from the back of the Domino's freezer, just faint enough that I couldn't make out the words, but close enough to know it was him. The sound of ice scraping, the low hum of the fridge compressor, and then his voice, always muffled like he was trapped behind something. I woke up sweating, shaking, and the sheets felt cold against my skin. The first time I chalked it up to stress. But then it happened again, and again. The worst part? After waking from those dreams, I'd always find flour handprints on my sheets, the kind that only come from a kitchen, fresh dough or flour. I didn't know how to explain it. Jack wasn't a baker, he was just a delivery guy. But every morning the handprints were there, as if something or someone had been touching me in my sleep. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I brushed against something. Maybe the flour was from a dream, a memory of the Domino's kitchen where we used to go together. But it felt wrong, too real. And it was only getting worse. That's when I started to notice the notifications on my phone. One night I received a delivery notification to an address I didn't recognize. It wasn't just an address, it was a location that didn't exist. Or maybe it did. I couldn't find it on Google Maps. I kept looking at it, the address glowing on my screen, and my hand started to shake. What was going on? Was Jack trying to reach out to me? Or was there something deeper buried in all of this? I had to find out, no matter what it took. It wasn't long before Domino's closed. They said it was plumbing issues, but I knew better. The staff left in a hurry and rumors started circulating. The store was shut down for good. For a while I tried to get information from the employees. None of them seemed to care about Jack's disappearance. They were just worried about getting their last paycheck, but I couldn't let go. I knew something was wrong. The night they locked the doors for the last time, I couldn't just stand by. I had to get inside. I waited until it was dark, until the last of the streetlights flickered off. Then I broke in. I made my way through the back alley, slipping through a cracked window at the side of the building. It felt like trespassing, but I didn't care. I needed answers. Inside, it was freezing cold. I remember the smell, stale grease and rotten dough. I moved quickly, my flashlight scanning the kitchen area. And there, taped to the inside of the walk-in freezer door, was Jack's name tag. His name, still clear as day. I froze. The realization hit me like a brick. I didn't have time to think. I kept searching, and that's when I found the address again. The same one Jack had delivered to that night. It was scratched out in his log, but now it glowed under the blacklight. A hidden message. And there, on the manager's desk, was one last sign, a steaming garlic knot. Still hot, as if someone had just placed it there. I could barely breathe. It wasn't just pizza anymore. The police came back after I reported what I found. They took everything from the Domino's, Jack's name tag, the glowing address, and the garlic knot. But the security footage from that night was still corrupted, and they couldn't make sense of anything. The former manager, who hadn't been around for a while, was found running a food truck down in Florida. When they questioned him, he refused to talk about anything related to Domino's. He said he didn't do pizza anymore. They said the case would remain open, but I knew in my heart that they weren't ever going to solve it. Jack was gone, and all I had left were pieces of a story that didn't make sense. I moved away a few months later, left Newark and everything behind. The Domino's building eventually became a laundromat, a fresh coat of paint slapped over the old walls. But sometimes when the night is quiet, I can still feel that weight in my chest. Somewhere in Newark, there's a cold pizza box that never stops vibrating. It was a quiet, boring Tuesday night, the kind where you could hear the faint hum of the fridge in the back and the sizzling of pizza crusts in the oven. Domino's on Main Street in Carbondale, Illinois was nothing to write home about. It was small, the paint chipped, the sign flickering like a dying star. But to me, 16-year-old Jack Morrison, it was home. My parents used to joke that I spent more time here than in my own room. It wasn't far from the truth. There was something comforting about the late-night hours, the smell of melting cheese, and the soft glow of the pizza tracker lighting up the front counter. I worked shifts, mostly late nights, making pizzas, and managing deliveries, the perfect job for a kid who didn't have much else going on. I was decent at it too. My signature move? Extra cheese smiley faces. They were a hit with the regulars. My co-workers thought it was cheesy, but hey, it gave the customers a laugh. That night I was tasked with delivering a single medium pepperoni pizza to the old Miller farm, a good 10 minutes out of town. No big deal, but the Millers had this creepy old house that looked like it was straight out of a horror movie. Still, the tip was good and I wasn't about to turn down easy money. I grabbed the pizza from the counter, adjusted my red Domino's cap, and grabbed my bike. No deliveries were due after this one, so it was just me in the quiet streets. I didn't know it then, but that pizza would be the last one I'd ever deliver. The bike ride was uneventful, wind in my hair, the soft glow of streetlights passing by, and my thoughts bouncing off the walls of my head. But when I pulled up to the Miller farm, things felt off. The house was dark, like it hadn't been lived in for years. The windows were boarded up and the yard looked like a graveyard for old tools and abandoned cars. Still, I knocked on the door, handed over the pizza, and left. The Millers didn't even say anything, just handed me the tip and closed the door without a word. I never should have come back. I rode back, the pizza delivery done, but something strange settled in my chest. The air seemed heavier now, colder, like the town had shifted when I wasn't looking. My bike wobbled a little as I turned the corner and came back down Main Street. The old Domino sign buzzed in the distance like a broken neon light. It was nearly midnight, and I could already see the glow of the pizza tracker flashing inside the shop. I parked my bike behind the dumpster, a habit I'd gotten into after a few weeks on the job. The back of the building was always empty at this time. No deliveries, no customers, just the sound of the occasional car driving by. I figured I'd be inside for a bit, helping out with whatever order came through next. But as I went inside, I noticed something strange. The front counter was empty. Usually Lenny was there, fiddling with the register or making small talk, but tonight, nothing. It wasn't that unusual. Sometimes the place was dead after 11 p.m., but tonight felt different. I went to the back to grab a Coke and ran into Greg, the shift manager, who was sitting at the kitchen table staring at the wall. "Hey Greg, you okay?" I asked, but he didn't respond. His eyes were glassy, unfocused. It didn't seem like he was asleep. I waved a hand in front of his face and he blinked, shaking his head like he'd just come out of a fog. "Yeah, I'm good, kid. Just tired." I shrugged and went back to the front counter. That's when I noticed it, my red Domino's cap. It was sitting right there on the counter, exactly where I had left it earlier. I shook my head. Must have been a weird night, I thought. Around 1 a.m., the atmosphere in the store began to shift. The clock on the wall ticked down the minutes as the smell of garlic crust and grease thickened the air. Everything was starting to feel wrong. There was no real explanation for it. No eerie sounds, no sudden flashes of light. Just this overwhelming sensation that something was out of place. Lenny came back from the storage room with his arms full of boxes. He tossed them onto the counter and went to the walk-in cooler to grab more supplies. I was zoning out, staring at the flickering pizza tracker screen, when I noticed something that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. The door. The front door of the Domino's was wide open. I froze. Lenny came out of the cooler and stared at the open door. "Was that you?" he asked, his voice shaky. I shook my head. We both stood there for a second, confused. The chill in the air had suddenly gotten colder, like it was coming from outside. But there wasn't a breeze, nothing, just stillness. I stepped towards the door to close it, but before I could, the screen flickered. A strange sound came from the pizza tracker, an eerie beep that wasn't supposed to happen. I turned back, and that's when it hit me. The store was empty. All of a sudden, there was no sound, no hum of the fridge, no sizzle of pizza crusts, just the quiet. The screen flickered again, and the pizza tracker went dark. I turned to Lenny, but he was gone, just like that. Panic set in as I walked through the store, calling for Lenny, for Greg, for anyone, but no one answered. The place felt like it had been abandoned for years, not a single soul left. I headed toward the back and stopped dead in my tracks. There, in the walk-in freezer, the light was still on, glowing through the cracks in the door. But it was unplugged. The freezer shouldn't have been on. I pushed the door open. Inside was a pile of pizza boxes, stacked neatly. But it was the smell that got to me. Something rancid, like spoiled food mixed with something darker. It made my stomach turn, and that's when I saw it. A handprint, melted cheese, shaped like a fist. I stepped back, my heart racing. This was all wrong. I stumbled backward, my feet slipping on the greasy floor. I needed to leave, but then I heard it. A whisper from somewhere inside the freezer. "Jack, you never left." The sheriff's report said there was no evidence of foul play. The store manager burned the delivery logs like it never happened. But the Morrison family didn't stop searching. Jack's father still heard the door chime late at night, every night, at exactly 2 a.m. His mother found the handprints on the porch steps, melted cheese forever cemented into the concrete, and Jack's younger sister? She kept getting texts. The Domino's closed its doors and the town moved on, but some things don't vanish that easily. They say when the wind blows just right, you can still hear the faint beep of the pizza tracker, counting down. You don't just become a med student, you sell your soul for it. I was in my second year at UB's medical school, buried under a crushing load of anatomy flashcards, caffeine hangovers, and the constant hum of fluorescent lights in my windowless apartment. The days blurred, the nights bled, and when my stomach growled louder than my ambition, there was only one thing that ever brought me comfort: Domino's pizza. Don't judge. It started innocently enough. After I bombed my anatomy, midterm, missed the difference between the ilium and the ischium like an idiot, I ordered a large extravaganza. You know, the works. Pepperoni, sausage, onions, olives, cheese that clogs your arteries just looking at it. It was my edible therapist. That was the first time I met Dave. He knocked. 3 slow, hollow raps. When I opened the door, he was standing there with this strangely warm smile. Tall guy, pale. Uniform looked too new, like it had just been pulled from packaging. His name tag sat crooked on his chest. Dave R. He handed me the box, paused, and said, "You've got the hunger, huh? I remember my first customer who ordered this much." I laughed. Awkwardly. I mean, I was used to weird, small talk. But something about his breath stuck with me. It reeked of pepperoni and something sharper, like chemicals. Like formaldehyde? I didn't think much of it then. I was hungry, tired, and desperate for comfort. But looking back, that night marked the beginning of something darker, something that clawed into my routines, my body, and my sanity. Over the next few months, my life got strange. Not med school strange, haunted strange. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Let me tell you how Domino's became a ghost story I couldn't wake up from. It wasn't just the midterm that broke me. It was the silence afterward. You fail in med school and it's not just a grade. It's a crack in your whole identity. So I did what any spiraling 24-year-old would do. I ordered carbs and cheese. Domino's app knew me too well. 2 taps and the extravaganza was on its way. I didn't expect the delivery to feel so odd. Dave showed up again. Same uniform, same crooked name tag. This time he stood in the doorway just a beat too long, like he was waiting for something. "You're my last stop," he said with a grin. "You know what they say about saving the best for last." I chuckled, even tipped him a 10, then shut the door. But as I turned to set the pizza down, I swear, I heard him whisper something through the door. A single word. Soon. I told myself it was just the wind in the hallway. That night, I ate almost the whole pizza by myself. Shame tasted like garlic crust. From then on, Dave became a regular. Even when I didn't remember placing an order, my phone would buzz. Domino's order confirmed. Always at night. Always Dave. 3 slow knocks. I started gaining weight, fast. 40 pounds in 6 months. My classmates noticed. I was sluggish, always tired. My doctor said my iron levels were through the roof. Too high, unnatural. Then I started finding black hairs in my pizza, long, coarse ones. I'm Chinese. I have black hair, but these weren't mine. Once I called the store to complain. The guy who answered sounded confused. Are you sure it was our location? We've been closed since 2019. What? I asked, staring at the hot pizza box still steaming on my kitchen table. Yeah, robbery shut us down. Driver died in the freezer. It's kind of a thing you might want to call corporate. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I looked down at the receipt. Printed at the bottom, just below the usual "Have a nice night" line were 3 words in faded red ink, paid in full. I tried to stop ordering. I deleted the app, blocked the number that sent the confirmations, even went full-on clean eating for a week. But every night at exactly 3:17 a.m. there'd be a knock. Same pattern. 3 slow raps. And each time I looked out through the peephole, Dave was there holding a pizza box, smiling. He never looked tired or older or normal. He just stood there like a delivery driver stuck in time. I stopped answering the door, but the pizza always made it inside. Sometimes on my kitchen counter, sometimes sitting on the couch next to me when I woke up. Once, God help me, it was on my bed. I moved my bed to the other side of the room. Didn't help. I became obsessed. I dug into old news articles, police reports, and Reddit threads. Found a few comments about the Domino's location on Grant Street shutting down after a robbery. A driver, David R., was found dead, locked in the freezer overnight. He was never supposed to be there. He picked up a last-minute order. Last stop of the night. I found his picture. Same uniform, same crooked tag, same smile. One night I confronted him, opened the door mid-knock and screamed, "What do you want from me?" He didn't blink, just handed me the pizza box. "Extra sauce tonight, just how you like it." The food poisoning hit hard. Violent cramps, fever, nausea so bad I thought I'd die on the bathroom floor. ER visit, IV fluids. They said I had a rare bacterial strain. The kind found in spoiled meat, decaying meat. I knew then that I couldn't stay. I broke my lease, packed my stuff, and moved across town. Small studio, no roommates, no forwarding address. The first week was quiet. I thought I'd escaped. Until one night, 3:17 a.m., my smoke detector beeped. I got up, groggy, annoyed, and walked into the kitchen. There it was. A Domino's box, still hot, sitting on the counter. My fridge was humming, bright and cold. The display read, 3 hors d'oeuvres. That's the exact temp Domino's stores their dough. I backed away slowly. That's when I saw the receipt. No total. No order number. Just one line in that now familiar red ink. Paid in full. I tried to burn the pizza. Microwaves sparked. Oven died. Box wouldn't catch fire. The cheese hissed but never melted. I threw it out the window. Found it back in the fridge the next morning. I contacted a medium. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but when the supernatural becomes your everyday, desperation makes believers of us all. She walked into my apartment, froze near the fridge, and said, "He died cold. Now he warms your hunger." I asked her what to do. She looked me dead in the eyes. Stop feeding it. But how? The hunger didn't feel mine anymore. I'd wake up starving. My skin pale, my lips chapped. My doctor said my blood work made no sense. Iron levels like I'd been eating raw liver daily. I started keeping a journal, tracking every knock, every order. The entries got messy. I started blacking out. Once I woke up with pizza sauce under my nails even though I hadn't opened a box in weeks. One night, the knock came early. Midnight. I didn't answer. That's when the humming stopped. The whole apartment went dead silent. Not even the fridge. Then the whisper came. "You're not full yet." It's been a year. I sleep in motels now. No fridge, no microwave. I eat only what I can hold in, my hands. But it still finds me. Sometimes I wake up to the smell. Garlic, oregano, decay. Sometimes I hear the car outside. No engine, just wheels on gravel. A familiar knock at a motel door that isn't mine. I write everything down. Doctors say my blood's weird. My eyes look hollow. The hunger never stops. I stopped seeing my reflection in the glass door of mini-marts. Last week I found a pizza warmer sitting in the alley behind a 24-hour laundromat. It clicked on at 3:17 a.m. Still hot. Still waiting. I think I'm delivering now. Final journal entry. Dave said I was his last stop. I think I'm next.